just doing a tiny little bit of detail, going around the source photograph with Google Earth, and I just noticed a couple of bits that I'd not picked up on. So I very quickly knocked up this can't think of the word. I very quickly knocked up this little iron road grill, which I realised is right in the corner of the road here. It just adds a nice little bit of extra realism. So I've just dug a little hole for it to sit in. I've got a couple of other little details that I need to try and add on to, but I wanted to try and quickly get this filmed so so it didn't kind of just jump into it. There's an awful lot of other bits that I do, namely painting the road surface proper colour. But what I want to do is I just want to paint in this corner. And of course I just need to paint underneath where the grill's going to go, or the road grate, with some black, so it's going to show up as a shadow. So I want it to have a realistic looking depth without it being, you know, like a full drain. So I've had to add a couple of little paving stones in the corner there, and then I'm just going to paint that area grey, sorry, black, like I say, so it just can just sit in. Now the sort of paving slab bit that's here is kind of a mix of a stone colour and grey, so I'm just going to paint a bit of both on. I've just squeezed a little bit of paint out onto a scrap piece of card here to help me out. There's a little bit of paving stone here as well that I hadn't quite realised was there. So of course that needs kind of adding in and blending. Doesn't matter that I get it on the road. So excuse my hand coming over the top here. Should really have it the other way around. Or maybe try painting left-handed, so I'm not in the camera. I don't know if I can paint left-handed. Not neatly anyway. I'm only going to do a small bit. I'll have to carry on up the road later. I just wanted to get this on film, because there's a lot of times when I sort of like do little sections on my own, just to make sure it's done, or because I've got it in mind that I want to get it done. But then you end up with a big jump in terms of the project moving on. So I wanted to just get this on camera. So I don't normally come on this early. Right, I've got another little detail that I've missed off. I've not noticed when I've been drawing the drawings. So I'm going to add that in. We've got a tiny little sort of grate set into the wall low down. So I've laser cut, like with the road grate, I've laser cut the little grill. It's in 2 pieces, well it's actually in 3 pieces, so I need a frame which I'm going to stick in on the wall right here. I actually did this by eye, I didn't properly measure it, but it's near enough. So I'm going to stick the outer frame in. I've got the inner frame which has been etched. It's not fully transparent because that would have been incredibly painful to do, but I've just etched a rough sort of approximation of a grid shape onto the laser board, and that's now going to just stick inside that frame there. And then just to give it a bit more relief, I've got another frame I'll just stick on the outside, and then I'll blend that in with some paint. So, like I say, just making sure it fits. So what I'm going to do, like I say, is I'm going to just blend that in with the same colour paint that I've done for the walls, or at least near enough. Like I say, this is it's not an afterthought as such, but it's an after notice. There's sometimes when I do these projects when I have missed stuff that wasn't first apparent in a photograph, or you find yourself studying parts of the building for so long, like the little obvious bits don't jump out to you so quickly. Still waiting for that to dry. I've actually painted it a bit too wet, but we'll get there. So whilst we're waiting for that hole to dry still, I'm going to layer this up. Just move that out of the way. I'm going to layer this up with a couple of colours. I just want to paint the outside of that frame now because the inside grille is looking pretty much how I want it to. Maybe it just needs a little wash of black to help it stand out. Create more of an illusion of depth. This brush isn't great now. It's had a bit of use. Maybe a little bit more paint squeezing out. I'll use a slightly different colour. This is my favourite. This is what I've used to paint most of the building with. It's Portland stone. See, now I can go back over that bit with this lighter colour. Like I said, what this will really benefit from is a little application of a grey wash or a black wash to lift it off. Whilst I've got the colour out, I'm just going over that step over there. Again, this is just a bit that I've missed off as well. I hadn't realised it was a step up. So my arm's in the way again, and we're going to have to go left-handed. I really don't like painting this way around because I am not left-handed at all. So I'll have to treat the rest of the pathway as it goes up the hill here with the same colour recipe. I'm not going to do that right now, I'll just move on to it afterwards. I just wanted to try it to sort of sort out this corner. I think that's touch dry now. So we go back to our little grill. Can I show you that? It's really, really fine. But that will sit on the road surface there. And because I've painted it black underneath, it's going to give the illusion of depth. And then just zoom in. And then you can see the texture of the wall. So that will need a little bit of glue just to hold it in place, but now I don't want to flood it with glue because I don't want to fill in those holes, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue out onto a piece of board. Which way up was it now? It's a good one. I can't remember which way up it was. I think it's the way up I'm holding it. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of super glue with a piece of card. The actual finish of the laser board is quite accurate really in terms of colour. I've just given it a little bit of a brownish wash there. Now once we paint up, oh thank you Christine, once we paint up with the road surface right up to the edge of that, that will blend in brilliantly. And what I've done with the road surface is I've used a filler to paint in or to fill in the surface of the road, so it gives that kind of rough tarmac effect. Now I've got a bit of filling to recreate over here because we've got a bit of cracking going on, but I just wanted to show you those two little details. And while I'm at it, I've got another little road grill to fill in, so I'm just going to check on Google Earth and see if I can get up the street and find out where that other grid is. The other grid I've used, it's not quite as ornate, it's just a disc, like a manhole cover. But again, it's laser etched. And primarily, well, I have a mix of materials. This is primarily, I think my Google Earth has stopped. It won't let me run up the street. Oh yes, no it will. I do know there is another little manhole in the middle of the road that I want to achieve, but I've just got to figure out exactly where it is. And I'm not used to using the desktop version of Google Earth. Right, it's further up the street. So I am going to have to rotate the model. So I use a whole load of different materials. Primarily on this one, it's an MDF structure. So the main part of the house is MDF, but it's covered with a layer of sifted grout glued on to give it the textured surface. All the windows and smaller architectural details, such as all the window surrounds, they've been made out of laser board, which I've used the laser cutter to cut. So there's Foamex, there's paper, there's card, all sorts of materials. I'm just going to come right round here now, because I need to put a manhole right here. Yeah, it's right here. Takes a lot of working out, but it's another little detail that I just want to get in before I paint the road. It's just it's a nice thing to add because it just adds that little bit of authenticity, I think. So what I'm going to do is I need a really sharp pencil. Just give me a minute while I find a pencil sharpener. Sorry, I'm going to need to cut a little hole for that to sit in, because again it's a bit of an afterthought. I should have planned this a bit easier, but I just want to draw around the manhole cover. Try and hold it in place while I do so. There we go. And then I want to gouge out a bit of a hole for it to sit in. I mean, I could use a drill, but that seems to be a bit excessive. Plus, I don't think I have a correct drill size. So I'm just going to gouge out the hole with my scalpel. I've got a thick enough covering of filler down here that will allow me to get enough depth. So the manhole cover's been made out of 0.6mm laser board. Like I said, I don't want it to sit proud of the road, it has to sit in it like a realistic manhole, so person hole, whatever you want to call it these days. It is actually quite hard, is this, in terms of its consistency, because it's actually a grout filler that I've used, so it's like a ready mixed adhesive for sticking tiles to walls, but it does have excellent filling and smoothing properties. So I much prefer using this to sort of your ready mixed proprietary fillers. That's still a bit not deep enough, still not quite deep enough. What I might also have to do though is, if I get right down to the board, which I'm getting to, is I'm probably going to have to just put a thin layer of filler over the top. And seeing as I'm going to have to fill some holes anyway elsewhere, so I think I might do that anyway. Just put a very thin skim of filler over the top of it to blend it in. What I'll do then is just put a bit of masking tape around it so I'm not covering it up. So now I've cut a hole in it, I'm just going to put a dab of super glue down. Get that fixed in place. It's going to slow me down a little bit by putting another layer down, but I think it's worth doing. Sorry, I've just hit the camera. So this is what I like to use. This here is called Fix and Grout. It's for sticking wall tiles down, but it's got a really nice consistency. You can't really see in there, can you? But it just goes down nicely. Just do a bit here because I've completely forgotten that I wanted to mask that off, but as you can see, it just smooths on really nicely. Although I might not do it all on camera, I'm going to do this over the entire road. I have ended up with some unwanted bumps. I think part of that's to do with the light level. Now I said I was going to mask that off, didn't I? But I'm probably just going to try and be careful instead. Just fill right up to it. What I want to do, I'm being a bit sort of next level here, but what I want to do is try and scratch in some of the sort of filled areas that you would get with the road when they're putting new pipe work down, etc. So I want to get the road surface fairly flat. I'm probably better off with a proprietary spatula. I'll just see if I had one. I did have a nice handy plastic one at one point. Don't know where it's gone now. Just bear with, I just have to improvise with my spreading utensils. The thing is, you don't want to end up with scratches or something that's got a rough edge. You end up with scratches on it. So I'm just going to blend around the manhole cover a little bit better, just to give it the idea that it's sunk into the road and not sat on top. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have a few little sort of rough edges where the road signs are deteriorated a little, as you often get around these things. So I just want to put a skim layer over some of the worst offending bumps. There's no point covering the whole lot again unless I need to. Like I say, I do want it to have some undulation and bumps, but I want it to be looking as realistic as I can. Like I say, it might hinder my planned progress for tonight because I wanted to paint the road, but there's no point rushing into it if another process needs to be done first. model round again and come back onto the other side. Just a couple of divots and gaps that I want to fill. Oops, my chin getting in the way. Hello guys, hello, it's just a quick one tonight. Sorry I was not paying attention. It's just a quick one right now because I just wanted to get a couple of little bits done whilst I thought about it before I come on again properly later. So I've just added a little grid detail in the bottom corner there. I'm just kind of blending the road back in a bit better. I do actually need to get a straight wet spatula right now and try and smooth it down a bit better. But when I zoom in I'll show you that that's that little road grid that I'm just fitting in there. So I just had to create a little bit of stonework to go right on the edge of the corner there. I've had to gouge out a little bit of road surface to give me a hole to put the grill in. And then I've just been filling some of the road surface a bit better. Now I just need to try and smooth it in. I do want it to have a few pits and dips, just to emulate a rough tarmac surface. But I don't want too many cracks. So that's what I've been doing there. I've also added this little vent into the corner of the wall there and added a little bit of paving up towards the doorway. We've also got in the distance another little manhole cover that I've put in. But yeah, that's as much as I wanted to do right now because I'm going to have to sign off and do some other things. But hopefully we'll get cracking with a bit more base work later on. And yeah, no, hopefully you'll be able to come and join me for that. So I'll see you in a bit, and for those people who've been in, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.